Our project is about medical physics and its ethical issues. Our outline is as follows. At first, we're going to talk about what medical physics is, followed by how it's applied. And then we'll discuss the role of medical physicists. Then we're also going to tell you about the pros and cons of medical physics. After that, we'll discuss the ethical issues. Medical physics is the application of physics to medicine. It generally concerns physics as applied to radiotherapy and medical imaging. Medical physics, also called health physics, is devoted to radiation safety. Radiation in general could be very harmful in large doses, so it's important to develop the best techniques with lower exposure, but enough to stay functional. For example, there's a limit to the number of times a person can be safely exposed to radiation without being harmed. However, some types of application of medical physics, such as ultrasound, are risk-free.
Medical physics comes in different forms. We have the diagnostic form, such as X-rays and PET scans, and we have the therapeutic form, such as radiotherapy. Diagnostic forms help detect medical issues within the patients. PET scans, for example, can detect early stages of tumors. With this, doctors could be more capable of treating a patient. Also, MRI scans can detect early stages of Parkinson's disease. However, diagnostic medical physics is not just limited to detecting illnesses. X-rays can determine structures of molecules and thus help in designing new medicine. Therapeutic forms act to remedy the issue. Take radiotherapy as an example. Radiotherapy attacks cancerous cells, thus ridding the patient of the disease. The medical physicist has various duties to perform in their field. Some medical physicists deal with patients and are in charge of handling them, for example, taking their X-rays or putting them in MRI machines for scans. Other medical physicists are concerned with dosages and safety of radiation. Radiation is very dangerous if used in a bigger amount than needed, so the medical physicist needs to ensure that the dosages are correct and will help the patients rather than hurt them. Another option is to work with research and development to try and find new methods and ways of detecting and curing illnesses using medical physics. They work on developing the technologies used to ensure the comfort of the patients and the fastest healing process possible. Because technology is constantly improving, it helps in enhancing machinery to find problems faster and solving them more specifically. For example, cancer wasn't detectable in early stages and wasn't very treatable in the past, but with time it has become easily detected and more controlled. The last duty a medical physicist can do is to teach new and aspiring medical physicists about the field in order to help more patients in the future.
There are major risks when talking about radiation and medical imaging. When submitting a patient to radiation, there is always the potential risk that damage may occur to surrounding tissues, and thus leading to more complicated and undesired results. So treatment has to be objectively weighed. Research and medical equipment for this certain field is very costly. The average MRI machine costs over $1 million. Having realized the negative aspects of medical physics, we can now appreciate the positive. Medical science has so far proven useful in detecting and controlling serious illnesses and dysfunctions. With PET scan and MRIs, we have been able to detect problems such as Parkinson's disease and heart disease, and from there have been able to discover treatments based on the results acquired. Technologies such as X-ray machines, MRI scans, and ultrasound scans help the medical industry in detecting diseases and injuries, from small problems such as bone fractures to big issues such as cancerous tumors. We can say medical physics is really foundation of almost all other medical procedures.
Knowing these advantages and disadvantages, we begin to consider certain ethical issues. Because radiation is known to be risky, it has a lot of ethical questions which must be considered. However, there is no other alternative, so it is important to research these moral issues to be able to use the applications properly and responsibly. One of these issues is the fact that radiation, although beneficial, can have a lot of harmful side effects that cannot be predicted beforehand. Many patients who have managed to beat cancer using medical physics develop either new cancerous cells or something similar because of their exposure to radiation. Also, another ethical issue is that radiation and the rays produced from certain machines can do more harm than good if the dosage is not carefully calculated. If a medical physicist is not careful, it might end up hurting someone rather than helping them and worsening their situation. There have been many promising aspects about medical science, and it is important to do what is most beneficial to the public. But many have their own views on what's right, so how is it to be decided where the limited research money is to go? Some of these procedures are very risky and some could cause side effects. How is it to be determined when the risk is too high? As doctors, they must first do no harm, but not treating is also very harmful. These applications are all very costly in a number of ways. They cost a lot to develop, use, and maintain. The question is, who is to pay for it? The government has many other fiscal issues that need to be attended to. But is there a price on a human being? Should we not do all that we can to protect our race, no matter the cost? And do animals have such rights? If so, should we test on them for our benefit? If the cost of scientific research is too high, should the project be forgotten? If there are risks involved, is it worth subjecting people to costly, risky procedures? But if scientists can predict the possibility of potential harm, then it should not be ignored. If there is something that can be done to prevent something dangerous, then why shouldn't it be done no matter how uncertain we are? There's no debate that what is desired by all is to eliminate or at least remedy certain diseases. But sometimes getting to that knowledge requires undesirable methods that not all would agree with. With the aid of computers, we have the ability to determine doses to use on patients depending on their disease. But can we really trust a computer with someone's life? Predicting a problem and not trying to solve it, or having a problem and not trying to cure it, will only make matters worse. Ignoring the issue will not benefit anyone and will most likely cause more suffering.
Even though it doesn't really cure illnesses and diseases and has many risks, it is still the most effective way to detect these diseases, and therefore paves the ground to healing them for other medical procedures. So even though its benefits are not seen directly, they are extremely significant in the medical world.